Kick the tires and light the fires. Do it.
What's up, Browns fans? Thanks for stopping in the Danger Zone. I'm Josh. He's Rich. What's going on, man?
Satnin.
Here we are.
Yeah.
A week away. Not even a week away.
Dude,
We're recording this on Sunday. We're 4 days away from the NFL draft here in Cleveland, Ohio. It's good stuff, man.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Going to be warmer, but looks like there might be some of that Ohio rain.
It's just going to be fucking Ohio weather, dude. Pack. If you're coming from out of town, bring summer shit, bring winter shit. I mean, that's it. That's Ohio. That's
it is
what we
look, I love Ohio. I'm one of the ones who actually do like the diverse weather that we have. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, man, those 2 days of snow we had last week, that's the type of shit that'll make me leave this state behind.
Oh, dude.
I woke up mad. I was like, really? Yeah.
Well, fuck, dude, speaking of that exact day, right? I'm laying in bed and I don't like getting up already, and Corinne's like, Rich, get up. It's work time, And I'm like, rah, 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 rah. And she's like, look at this. And she opens the bedroom window and I see that fucking bullshit ass blanket of snow. And immediately I was like, fuck this. Fuck you. Fuck it. I hate everything. God damn it, dude. I mean, I think we're done finally, but Jesus, man.
Yeah, I think so too. It's, things are starting to signal the coming of nice weather, obviously, but also the coming of the football season. We're getting inching closer. And I know we're still far away, but in terms of things happening, things moving, right? So
we're much closer than we were.
It's true. It's true story right there. Obviously the draft coming up, but some transactions start to happen around this time, or some moves because there's deadlines tied to them. So one of those is the 5th-year option. Obviously, we got the news this week that the Browns picked up both Baker Mayfield and Denzel Ward's 5th-year option, and now with the new collective bargaining agreement, or the most recent one, the 5th-year option on former first-round picks is fully guaranteed as soon as they decide to exercise it. So right now, Baker's is 18.86. That's guaranteed. He's got that money right now, which is good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like,
pay the man.
I fucking extend him. I mean, we talk about this shit all the time. So, and then Ward is set to make just over 13.294 million on his 5th year. I kind of put this out there on Twitter. Barry seems to have some tendencies, and like I said, these are deadline specific type of things. So I guess don't read too much into it, but there is a little bit indicating that he kind of works rhythmic in a way. And what I mean by that is last year he picked up Miles' option on April 27th. Now, like I said, these are deadline timed. I think May 3rd or 5th, May 5th, something like that.
May 3rd or something like that.
Is the deadline. So obviously, they usually wait until close to the deadline to do things like this. But last year on April 27th, he picked up Miles. And then, by July, before the start of camp, he had extended Miles. So I kind of put that question out there. Do you see with Baker or Ward that full extension coming around that time frame as we did with Miles last year?
Yeah, so 2-part answer to that. The only one that's going to get an extension possibly this year is going to be Baker, if they choose to do it. There is no especially with someone like a quarterback, it'd be nice to see if they wait, because it doesn't, contract wise, it won't affect anything. He's got to play through that 5th year.
Yeah.
Before any new money kicks in. So it won't affect the cap, in the near term. I think I'm not gonna say it's a foregone conclusion, but I do think, you just got to extend him if he continues on the same trajectory that he started and ended last season on, especially the back end of the season. In terms of Ward, I think they're going to wait and see how he handles the next 2 seasons physically.
Yeah.
Before they they try to extend him, because I think out of that group of, like, let's just say Baker, Chubb, Denzel, right? That was the first and second round picks, I think, of that season for us. I think it's more likely to sign Chubb and Baker than it is to sign Denzel to an extension. I think Chubb gets an extension before Denzel does, just because I think the way the NFL is going, like, we're going to be taking a defensive back in the first 3 rounds for the next 3 years, and that has nothing to do with the guys that are currently on the roster. Like, it's going to happen. Especially, you know, what we saw with the Joe Woods presser this week. You know, we need all the DBs. We need all of them. We need everything we can get. We need corners. We need slot corners. We need safeties. Let's fucking go. You know, all those pieces are involved in this defense.
Yeah, true story. Ward is a tricky one, man. I definitely am not extending him. The 5th-year option was the right move with him. I'm not extending him yet. He's got to,
absolutely,
like you said, he's got to show that he can stay on the field. And we know when he is on the field, he's a elite cornerback, and I don't know that that's really up for argument.
Absolutely.
So, but with Baker, man, I do think you should extend him this offseason, and there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, you have one side saying, and local media, are on this too, and I'm not bashing them for this, but they are on this train. You know, wait and see. Let's just wait and see. You don't have to do anything now. You don't have to do anything. And here's why I don't want to wait and see. I don't want to be hanging on every fucking moment again next year, like with this two-sided thing with Baker, like, oh, he had a bad game. Oh, should the Browns not extend him? I don't want to have to go through that. And I think, you know, we said at the beginning of last year, this year the Browns find out if Baker's the guy, right? That was what last year was. So is he the guy? If the answer is yes, then extend him.
Yeah, I think I look. My view on it is there's no rush. So last year we found out, yeah, Baker's the guy. This year we find out if we're certain that Baker's the guy.
But I'd say it's those moving goalposts.
I get it. Yeah, I mean, remember what happened when we signed when we extended Derek Anderson?
Yeah.
Remember he signed that big old fucking deal? And I'm not comparing Derek no touch fucking Anderson to Baker Mayfield, but like you could see the apprehension in some fans, like, you know, maybe we shouldn't do it if we don't absolutely have to. But I get what you're saying, like not having to just hear it non-fucking stop during the season.
Yeah, and you don't lose anything, right? What do you do? You risk maybe Baker sucking. I don't think Baker's gonna suck, dude. He might. I think his floor is mediocre. I think the floor with him is mediocre. I think
last season is his floor,
and he was better than mediocre last season. So I don't think you're risking anything talent. I don't think you're risking a lot talent-wise. I think you're only gaining. You're gaining confidence from your quarterback that you want to get this done now. You're probably gaining financially because let's wait this year. Fuck it. Let's let him play out his 5th year too. Your cost, obviously, Rich, we know is just exponentially going up year after year after year. And I think if you can do it now, show that good faith, get everyone on the same page, get that thing locked down. I think the benefits outweigh the negatives to me. But I could understand if they waited. Like you said, Joe, there's no rush. You don't have to do anything right now.
Right.
But I think it would behoove them to do so. That's my takeaway with that. And look, with Baker, a little nugget on this. You know, the Browns, I went back and looked because sometimes memory gets a little fuzzy, but we've drafted 5 quarterbacks in the first round since '99. For some reason, I thought it was more. I thought it was more, to be honest with you.
No, we were fucking shooting Colt McCoy, fucking
later
Cody
round
Kessler.
Picks. Yeah, we were doing that shit. And actually, when I seen that it was only 5, I'm like, man, we should have been fucking chugging every year, like, till we find something. But anyway,
right.
So of those 5 QBs taken since '99, Baker's the only one to actually reach a second he's going to get extended to get that technically, I guess he reached a second contract with the extension of the, or not technically, I guess, with the 5th year. And that just came into effect, 2011, I think.
Right.
The 5th year. So to be fair, like Couch spent 5 seasons here. He had a 7-year contract though, coming out of college. That was back before the regulations on these draft contracts. We'll sign you for 10 years, $800 million. Rookie.
Right, these number 1 overall pick quarterbacks like Sam Bradford, dude would just straight stole money for. I mean, he was good a handful of years, but he had a massive fucking contract. I think he was the last QB to get that contract.
I think you might be right. You might be right.
Like as an overall pick like that, to have that kind, like, I mean, you're the highest paid player in the fucking NFL as a rookie. Like, you ain't done shit.
Yeah.
I'm glad they fixed it.
It works well. This is actually a good setup, I think, for them, for the league itself, for the health of the league, for sure. And I do like the 5th-year option thing. I think that benefits both the player and the team. You got these teams got a lot invested in these first round picks, especially, obviously high picks, quarterbacks, stuff like that. So anyway, so the with the 5th years being picked up, Rich, we knew that was going to happen.
Yeah,
that was an obvious thing. And now the next step is anyone getting extended? And I didn't really have anything on Chubb, so I won't go down that rabbit hole because we will be talking about him in future podcasts for sure. I'm sure probably sometime soon. But that is one. If I tell you what, Rich, if they picked it up, number one, I would be, or if they picked it up, if they extended him, number one, I would be ecstatic. Number two, I would be shocked at this point, like right now, like if they did it this season. I would be a little bit shocked. But like I said, I would be fucking stoked too. So
no, that's look, man. There's all the horror stories out there. Todd Gurley's like the poster child for not paying a running back. But none of those guys are Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
And
it's true.
I would be happy with a 3-year extension. I'd be even happier with a 4-year extension, but nothing past that. Because then you're starting to get into his 29, I think, year-old season.
Yeah. And
we all know what happens to running backs, at that point anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be ideal, 3 or 4 years. Yeah, that's perfect.
It'd be nice. He's just the heart and soul of the team, man.
Yeah, I think there's obviously, even if they don't do anything, I think talk about it is going to pick up. I'm not saying with the team and the player, but on the ancillary circuits here with schmoes like us and some of the talking heads, I'm sure there'll be some conversation to be had about that. Yeah. So we'll definitely dive more into that. Right now, though, Rich, we're going to move on to the pressers. So we had both Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry talk to the media via Zoom, as it always is now, via Zoom, in their pressers. So let's go with Stefanski first. And I think the first thing that jumps out with his presser was when they started talking about the playbook and Mayfield's understanding of it. And, he said, I hope his understanding is significantly better. I hope, let's see, quotes, I hope it improves as he starts to listen to the installs with AVP and you're hearing it for not the second time. He's heard these plays over and over again. We've streamlined the concepts and we've tried to adjust what we do based on his strengths and our players' strengths. I would hope he is much more comfortable from that perspective. So if you remember back when Stefanski was first hired, and he had stated something very similar. He said, when players walk in the building, we'll have a detailed plan laid out for them about how they're going to improve. Baker, as a young player, the sky's the limit, but we're going to put the work in to get it done. So no one was freaking out about this comment, Rich, but it stood out to me because I think people could misconstrue it. Like Baker maybe didn't necessarily know all the play, and he was still learning. So there's probably some stuff he didn't know, but this is just in line with Stefanski and his staff and exactly what he said, laying out plans for players to get better, continuously improving his roster, his players, his staff, and making Baker a great player. So it's stuff I like to hear from Coach, man.
Yeah. I mean, look, you're starting to understand what Stefanski's all about even more. Every time he speaks, it's the same thing. Generally speaking, he's driving that message home week in and week out. We're going to get better. Individually, we're going to get better. We're going to get better as a team. Don't be satisfied with last year's success. They have a plan, as we'll see, we'll talk about here in a little bit, or we have talked about in terms of the draft. If you watched the last Building the Browns, Clowney spoke of it, where he walked in the building, and part of the contractual pitch was, look, here's our plan. This is what we'd like to do defensively. And for us to be able to do this, we need you. They had the plan for Clowney laid out already. Like, this is what we're going to do if you sign on this team. Or you sign on the dotted line. They have a plan. Going into the draft, with Barry's presser. Everybody seems to be on the same page in terms of the plan. It's not just fly by the seat of your pants. And that should bring comfort to all Browns fans, because we've had front offices that just do shit by the, and head coaching where they just do shit by the seat of their pants. And it seems like Stefanski is just building on what he kind of installed and put together last season, not just with the playbook, but just of the attitude, what's expected of you. We all have a plan. Everyone needs to follow the fucking plan. Everybody needs to pull the rope in the same direction. You know what I'm saying? If we're going to get this thing going.
There's a word for that, Rich. A word that lacked in Browns, franchise for long periods of time. Culture, right? Building that culture.
My dog is pissed right now. The Amazon guy pulled in the driveway. Riley.
She wants that package. Bring me that Amazon.
She's like, what are you doing in my driveway, bro? I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. And then the guy gets up to the door and she's like, help me.
Hi, buddy.
Yeah, right? But, just getting back to the Brown stuff before the pandemonium. It's just nice to know, I feel better when I get up in the morning on a Saturday, right? And there's shit I want to get done. Well, I spent Thursday and Friday and maybe days prior building that plan, right? And that just makes shit in general go smooth.
Yeah.
When you have a plan, everybody knows where they fall in that plan. Everyone's got a responsibility. It's just really nice to fucking hear, man. It makes me feel a ton better about the front office if I needed more, reasons to love these guys. It's just nice to fucking hear it. I know it's coach speak and blah blah blah, but it's just
it is
nice.
coach
I
speak,
like it.
But we've spent years of hearing not coach speak. We've been hearing gets us speak, for years. So it is nice, and it's something that we need to learn to expect. And I think as these seasons go on and we build a championship caliber team year in and year out here in Cleveland, that we will. Listen, one person though that I do want to give some love with this, as we talk about developing players and laying out plans, is Alex Van Pelt. And I think that might be, it's not talked about much, so maybe it's a underrated or under the radar type hire. Don't get me wrong, Stefanski deserves a ton of credit, obviously, and we do give him that coach of the year, Stefanski. But Alex Van Pelt, and I think Stefanski kind of hinted at, or he kind of directly said it, but he said, Baker, as we talked about, is someone who constantly wants to get better. Alex Van Pelt has a really, really strong plan in how we're going to attack that with Baker in particular. So, this guy is glued to Baker's hip, man. He talked about the footwork when he came in, working with that, and getting him squared away with that. And we saw marked improvement
Absolutely
with that this past season. So I think Alex Van Pelt, is he's a little bit behind the scenes hero going on with this stuff in my eyes, anyway.
Yeah, he doesn't get enough love. I mean, he doesn't get he's underappreciated, I guess. But also it says a lot about Stefanski, where he doesn't need to micromanage. He's got people in place that he trusts. We're bringing the whole goddamn staff back for this season. The majority of our important players, if not all of our important players, are back for this season. That's that continuity thing. And it seems like we're just run like a professional organization. Clowney could have went fucking anywhere, man.
Yeah.
And I'm not, look, I'm not getting crazy saying, oh, he picked us, he's going to be great. But he could have went anywhere, and he chose to come here. And it's, you heard the other free agents that we've picked up this season. They chose to come here. Some guys took less money to come here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, I think it's glazed over with some of us Browns fans in the short term right now. I don't think we appreciate enough of what's being done behind the scenes, I guess you could say.
Yeah. It's kind of easy to get, to take for granted. When you got a rock star, let's call it what it is. When you got a rock star head coach, it kind of takes spotlight from all the other stuff. So that's good stuff, man. As long as it, translates to production on the field, really, it's okay to have that stuff in the background and only occasionally give it love, like right now we're doing with Alex Van Pelt.
Right.
So Keep doing what you're doing, Brown staff, because it's working. With Stefanski though here, Rich, I only had one more kind of small takeaway. The presser wasn't anything to write home about, to be honest with you.
No.
And because he did comment on the OTAs, we talked about it last podcast, and I think he kind of echoed the same sentiment we had with it. You know, he said, I would love to see our guys on the grass. There's no coach that wouldn't love to coach their guys. That's very, very obvious, but I'm going to respect the process, respect the position, and let those things play out. And we kind of said the same thing in you know, a handful of different words last weekend. Like, yeah, they're missing out on some things. These guys should be together in terms of building that team chemistry and just kind of going through the motions, physically being there. But we know they can do without doing it. We know they can get through it. So I think he kind of echoed the same thing there.
Yeah, I mean, dude, look, again, it comes up where we're bringing the entire staff back, right? Well, that staff was a part of, we had 3 games in a row where we only practiced like 4 times. And one of them was a fucking playoff game. You know what I'm saying? Where Stefanski wasn't even there. We couldn't practice. We couldn't, you know. So, and we had all, you know, off season. These guys are aware of it. And they're fucking professional football players, man. They don't need to be on the field 24, you know, as often as they have been. I'm kind of on board with the Players Association with that kind of stuff. You know, we didn't notice a gigantic drop off in play last year, did you? Like, did it look like just a worse grade of football? No, it didn't.
No.
And they had basically nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm cool with it, man. I don't need, you know, now that we're good, I don't need to see the guys on the fucking field give another way to get hurt. Let's be real. Anytime people put feet on grass, I mean, remember Braylon Edwards was out running around in the grass years ago barefoot and cut his foot or some shit?
Yeah.
Someone stepped on his foot or something. Like, you know what? Until it's absolutely necessary, let's keep our guys off the fucking grass, keep them healthy for a little bit longer. I'm cool with it. Like, you know, fucking whatever, man. Whatever Stefanski says goes. Like, let's just
pretty much. It's that. Go. It's like, okay, let's roll with it. Yeah, man, that's it for Stefanski. Like I said, he didn't give a whole lot. There's not a lot to give really at this time. He did kind of touch on a couple other things, the Clowney stuff. If Richardson, you know, potential he's coming back, but we'll save some of that. Well, no, I don't have any of that with Barry either, because he also touched on some of that as well. Speaking of Barry, let's move on to his presser. I think the thing that kind of highlighted his presser for me was he kind of made it clear that, you know, draft picks, and I think this is obvious if you follow the team, they view draft picks as long-term investments, not like a free agency type bandage, right? So that he actually said, like, you know, you want to focus on the long term versus the instant gratification. And really what he means by that is going into it with the mindset of who can we draft to have the most impact on our team. So you're looking at, like, you know, a best player available type situation. And they really value the draft and building it. And that's why this team is going to be successful. Not only are the guys intelligent, Rich, right? They're hyper fucking smart, but this doesn't change with the NFL. You want to build a championship team, you build through the draft, period. That will never change, ever. That's going to be the formula always. And obviously you need competent people doing it. And I think, you know, Barry, with this first point that I'm taking away here, is very, very confident. Obviously his move speaks for itself, but it's one of those things, Rich, it's nice to hear it in actual words.
Yeah, I mean, to have these guys attack the draft the way it sounds like they're going to is, you know, refreshing as hell. You know, when you're drafting for a guy of need, right? You know, where you need a specific player at a specific spot, you tend to overdraft. And it doesn't always, I would say it's more likely to not work out than it is to work out. When you draft for that guy and you have to rely on that rookie to produce right away, especially when you're outside the top 10. And even in the top 10, it's still somewhat suspect.
Yeah.
And looking at the draft as long-term, well, yeah, they're younger. They should be part of the long-term plans. And if you're taking them and they're not, then you're fucking up, which is, I have a feeling, is what we've done in the past.
Yeah.
Where we're taking, you know, we're looking to take guys that we think can just fill the gap right this second. And that prevents you from maybe taking the better player at times. And they said something. I mean, they went through 1,100 players in this draft thing where they had to kind of dive into it, and they broke it down to like 150 something draftable players or 160 draftable players.
114.
And then they had 40 or 50. Oh, 114. All right. And then plus, I had the numbers fucked up. So 114 draftable players and 40 or 50 free agent, guys that aren't going to get drafted to bring in.
Yeah.
And it's nice to hear it. It's like we're back to this again, the plan.
Yeah.
Just follow the fucking plan. And then it seems like they have one in place, and I don't see any flaws in it yet. I mean, we've still got to pick the players, but we're preparing properly.
Yeah. I've never looked at it because when I read that, I did because I was reading excerpts. Is that the right word? Excerpts from his presser. And when I saw the 114 draftable players, I'm like, because I've never looked at it in a numbers perspective and thought a team, how many players do a team think they can draft or are worthy of a draft pick? And there's a lot of kids draft eligible. And obviously there's 256 positions to draft, spots to draft in the NFL draft. And it's like 114 just seemed low when I seen it. I'm like, really? It's that few?
Right.
That few of people? But it's good that they have that kind of laser focus, right? And actually that's a phrase that I straight stole from one staff member on the Browns. I've heard it 100 times. I feel like that laser focus. And that's good. You're right. It's good to hear. The one thing that we found out with Barry's presser, and this is the big takeaway right here. So here's the culmination of this discussion. They could do anything in this draft, anything. And he even kind of alluded to people wanting maybe a little bit of action. He said, what did he say? I'm going to guess a quiet Thursday night would not be popular among this audience. I will tell you that I'm comfortable if we pick. I'm comfortable if we move out. I'm comfortable if we move up. Largely, it depends on circumstance, but I'm not married to really any particular decision. Certainly 6 days from us knowing what the first pick of the draft is going to be. And I think he is 100% sincere with that statement right there. He's comfortable with doing anything. And that's one of the beauties of these guys is, yes, they have a plan. We talked about this, that they're laser focused. They have a plan, but they are malleable enough. They are willing to be like water within this plan and adjust to circumstance. And that's where success comes in. And I think that's one of the highlights with these guys.
Yeah. All that shit you just said just boils down to being prepared. They're prepared. When you're able and capable of doing anything, given a situation, you're prepared.
Yeah.
And for the, I would venture a fair guess, and it'd be a nice comparison with John Dorsey's drafts, just how broken down and prepared these guys really are in terms of, getting the right guys in place, playing through different scenarios, not having to do anything crazy in this draft. Like, the best part, man, is being able to draft the best player available at the spot you're in. Yep. I think if successful teams find themselves in that position more often than not. And if you're doing it right, that's where you want to be. You don't want to be forced to have to take a guy at a certain pick because you need them. This is kind of what I was saying before. And, it's going to be fun to watch again because we don't know what we're going to do. You know what I mean? In past years, we kind of had an idea where we were going to be drafting, who we were going to be looking at. I'll tell you what, I highly doubt we move up, and because this is starting to look like the 2013 draft, where it's just going to be not like the 2013 historically. I think that draft was like one of the worst fucking drafts ever. And I'm not saying this is going to be the worst draft ever, but it's not as good as other years in terms of depth at a bunch of positions.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't see us trading up. I wouldn't. I'll put it to you this way. The most likely scenario, and I'm not breaking new ground here, the most likely scenario is picking at 26.
Agreed, 100%. I think it's probably an 80% chance, to be honest with you. I think it's high.
Yeah. And if we move back, I don't think it'll be very much. I mean, there's not really far to go from 26 to 32, but I don't see us doing some goofy shit, trading, basically not having a first round pick. I don't foresee that happening where we trade that far out. We may, there's like a 2% chance, I think, that we move up, but I don't think it gets any higher than 20.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think they're going to stand pat at 26 and take best player available, and they're in a perfect position to have really a drama-free draft. Go with your board, take best player available at any position you got. I mean, if someone blows you away with a trade and you can acquire some decent assets, sure, pull the trigger. But it's not, like in years past. It's like we almost grew accustomed to like what move are the Browns going to make. They always had a top 10 pick usually, and that when you're in that top 10. I think that's a highly volatile spot right there, because you got a pick of value and people want to come up. You may want to, your eyes might bulge with freaking, we can get a bunch of assets. So I think now that they're out of that, it's going to reduce the drama, which is good. We want a reduction in drama on draft day because it usually means we're good. So all these things are good. And they point to that.
The drama in past years has led to picks like fucking Barkevius Mingo.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like, I'll never forget that pick when I heard that name, and I'm like, they only picked him because his first name had Bark in it. Like, I just felt like, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Skinny-ass linebacker, man.
That's funny.
Having the ability to, man, but having the ability to be the same thing that you'd like on your offense and defense, to be multiple, to do multiple different things, to basically control your own destiny.
Yeah.
In terms of that pick, we can do whatever we want, and we're not married to, like Barry said, we're not married to any one thing, which makes us more open to do a bunch of different shit. And I'm ecstatic, man. I like the way this thing is setting up, and I think there's got to be a curveball coming. It. There's got to be a curveball coming on Thursday. Might not be from us, but there's
going to be something.
There's going to be some fucked up shit on Thursday. I'm telling you right now. Like some big name is going to move or something like that. I just have this weird feeling it's going to be a groundbreaker.
There'll be something, that's for sure. But again, as we kind of wrap up these pressers, the confidence, we talked about it before the podcast, the one thing that they give you, and even when they don't give you anything really, even when the answers are kind of vanilla and there's nothing really there of substance, they give you confidence still. They still instill that confidence in you, that these guys are competent and they're going to be able to continue to lead this team where it needs to go. So that's really the reason I always like listening to them. So
yeah, it's assurance. They give us assurance that they're not, fucking brain dead dipshits like we've had before.
Yes, sir.
They it's like a warm blanket of intelligent football that we're all fucking dying for.
And here it is.
They give it to us. Yeah, they give it to us every time, man.
Give it to me. All right, Rich, real quick, before we get into some NFL news and notes, which will round out this episode, I want to do an early prediction game here. Who is going to be the most important player to the Browns killing it in 2021?
Most important player. What? I didn't hear the last bit.
To the Browns killing it in 2021. To the Browns fucking making it happen. Not necessarily winning the Super Bowl, but just performing like a top-tier team.
There's only one answer. It's Baker Mayfield.
100%. 100%.
Baker Mayfield.
This is going to be the first time since he was drafted, first overall in 2018, that Baker has played for the same coach and offensive coordinator in consecutive years.
Yeah, that's insane.
The first time.
I mean, that's insane. That, like, all the fucking, everything fell into place for Baker Mayfield to come to Cleveland. All of it. He said it in his interview. He got drafted by an 0-16 team, didn't say shit other than, why not me to turn this whole thing around? I mean, we go as Baker Mayfield goes, offensively. All right? And team-wise, it's Baker Mayfield. But I do want to throw something else out there, too. I think a very, very, very important piece that's going to get overlooked going into this season is Jacob Phillips defensively.
Yeah.
I think what we see with Jacob Phillips is exactly what the new NFL linebacker is and exactly what this defense wants. Like, if we get another linebacker, it's going to be just like Jacob Phillips. We're going to have two guys, Jacob Phillips, running around playing linebacker. Fast, sideline to sideline, maniacs, no regard. Get fucking Photoshop Mac Wilson the fuck out of here. I'm off that goddamn bandwagon. That dude is such a fucking Magoo, and he's not good at football. I mean, he's just not. I'm sorry, Mac. You know what? You get us. My sister fucking loves you because she's like, he's so about Cleveland, and I'm past all that shit. I don't give a fuck. I don't even care if you like me, the city, whatever. Just play good football, win us some fucking football games.
Yeah,
But
the
I think
Mac
Jacob
and
Phillips.
Taki train, dude. I think that one's left.
Well, Taki's not bad. No, I don't.
He
I
played a little
have to.
better, but I don't know.
I'm gonna pull. I'm gonna take my foot off of Taki's neck. Is where I had it the
Mac
last like
Wilson.
2 seasons, right? And I'm putting it on Mac Wilson. Fuck Mac Wilson.
Oh, that's good.
Change your number to 3. No one gives a shit about your jersey.
That's good. You're
Just
100%
whatever.
right, though. It's Baker Mayfield is the most important.
Yeah, no
Player
doubt. I mean, you can't
to
put it anywhere else.
2021 success. I can't wait to see this guy play in the system again, man. This whole thing come together. I think, as much as I think AMC is about the moon here soon, because
Yes.
as much as I think that's going to happen, which is like 1,000%, that's how much I think Baker's going to kill it this year with the second year in the system, and everyone returning. Everyone's back, man. Let's run this thing back, and let's go head to head with Kansas City for the AFC title and get to the Super Bowl this year. Anyway, okay, I'm going down I'm on the train. Did the train starting to take off? It's gonna go sideways there for a minute. All right, real quick. Yeah, I know. We'll get into some NFL news and notes. The two things I want to discuss today are some divisional woes, and this time they don't involve the Browns having the woes.
What?
Actually, they benefit the Browns. So, most recently, Kansas City traded for Baltimore Ravens offensive tackle Orlando Brown. Starting tackle Orlando Brown. Now, obviously, there was some strife there between Brown and the Ravens. The Chiefs traded their 2021 first rounder, so number 31 overall, a third rounder, fourth rounder, a 2022 fifth, in exchange for Brown and a 2021 second round. So the Chiefs gave up a little bit, but here's, we talked about a little bit about this over the weekend, Rich. I like the fact, obviously, the Ravens got worse because they did, even though they got draft picks in exchange. They traded away a Pro Bowl caliber tackle, and now they left a hole on their offensive line. So they get worse. Kansas City gets better, which is obviously scary, I guess you could say, because they're in our division. They're direct competition for us to get to the Super Bowl. But all in all, I think this works out better for the Browns, obviously, because we play Baltimore twice in a season. So,
yeah, I mean, that's the one thing I've said about this whole offseason is outside of us, what has any of the other 3 teams done to get better? And I don't have much. Pittsburgh lost a bunch. Baltimore lost a good bit. They brought in Sammy Watkins out in Baltimore. Cincinnati is still a fucking train wreck that's going to get Joe Burrow killed. But the problem I have here is why in the 100 fucks did Baltimore trade to the team there's 5 of us in the AFC right now that are, 5 or 6 that are like Super Bowl type teams. You got us, Baltimore, KC, Indy, Buffalo. Who else? Who am I missing in this group? Tennessee-ish.
Tennessee, yeah. I wouldn't put Miami there. Close.
No, not
we
yet.
Have to see. But
Feel as shit as far as I'm concerned. But come on. You could have fucking traded them anywhere else. You let Kansas. Everybody lost their mind when Kansas City let a bunch of O-line go at the beginning of free agency. Like they didn't sign their own guys, and then you go and help them protect fucking Patrick Mahomes. Like, God damn it, you could have traded them in the NFC, man.
Right.
Maybe get an early second round pick.
I feel like Ozzie wouldn't have done that, but that's just me.
Fuck Ozzie Newsome. He fucking had an opportunity to not fuck us over. I don't give a shit about him. Fuck him.
Yeah, he was still a damn good GM for Baltimore.
Yeah, he's a fantastic fucking GM. I mean, but yeah, I don't see Ozzie doing that shit because it's going to come back to haunt you.
Yeah.
It's going to come back to haunt you. I mean, Christ almighty, anybody but fucking Kansas City, man.
Yeah. So, like I said, Baltimore gets worse. Helps the Browns, I think, a little bit, and hurts them a little bit, obviously, but I think it helps them a little more. Anyway, it's minuscule either way. Steelers. So we're going to move on to them to close this out. They had a little bit of woes of their own. They didn't really lose anybody, but their promising young cornerback there, Rich, Justin Lane, was arrested on multiple charges in Cleveland recently.
Guns and weed,
man. The guy, so he was pulled over around 3 a.m. for speeding on 90. Go figure, right there by Cleveland. And yeah, you're right. He had, he had an outstanding warrant for his arrest for a traffic violation.
How you are a fucking professional football player. How do you? Oh God!
Because he didn't appear. He didn't appear in court. And he had a suspended license, probably because of that warrant. They probably suspended his license. Yeah, marijuana in the Dodge, which I'm not going to hammer him for that. No drug charges, but he did have a 9mm Glock handgun in the center console. And look, people have guns. Some of them drive around with guns. I'm not a fan of driving around with guns for the reason of, if you do decide to lose your cool, I mean, road rage happens and shit. I don't know, man. Like, it's a bad look too. Like, especially if you're an athlete.
Yeah, it's a bad look. I drive around with guns on my car. But I mean, let's be real here, dude. Look, you're in the NFL, so you're a millionaire. All right. You couldn't have fucking paid a lawyer to go on your behalf. You didn't just get the fucking ticket in the mail and just pay it.
Yeah.
Like, that's shit I used to do when I was younger and didn't have any money. I would have paid the ticket if I had money.
Right.
Instead, I didn't pay the ticket, got pulled over for driving under suspension and a warrant for my arrest, and I went to jail.
It was a fucking traffic violation. He could have fucking just waived it and mailed in the money.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
he didn't even have to go, but because he did nothing, they issued a arrest warrant.
What an idiot. What a fucking idiot. And
but you love to see it.
Oh, I love it. It's not us. That's my favorite part. It's not us. If I'm running the team now, honestly, and this isn't always true because the talent of the player prevails here, but if you're that fucking stupid, I don't think you should be in the NFL. Like, if you're that goddamn dumb, you do not deserve the right to make a ton of money playing a game. How situational awareness.
Yeah.
And you had a long situation to develop some awareness, and you fucking didn't, and then you get pulled over. Just what an asshole.
We know all too well about that shit. Greg Robinson.
Yeah, 500, what was it?
57 pounds, right?
57 fucking pounds of weed. Like, step your game up, Mr. Lane. Fucking
A. Okay. We love to see it with the divisional stuff. I'll tell you what, anytime there's bad news about divisional opponents here, divisional rivals, it's going to make it on the podcast. We're going to talk about it because they have not taken any qualms about pointing out our deficiencies throughout the last 2 decades plus. So I'm going to take any chance I get, and I'm going to jab.
Oh, yeah.
So there we go. All right, Rich, this week we don't have a 5-5 for everyone. Sorry about that. Bad job out of us. We'll get back on it next week. So that's going to really wrap it up, man, and it's going to take us to the point where Brother Rich leads us out with some words. Yeah,
so I told you about this yesterday while we were hanging out. Another local media member said some of the dumbest shit I ever heard. And I don't listen to a lot of sports talk radio midday. I'm on my way to work in the morning and then sometimes on the way home. Well, I went out for lunch on Friday. And it was during, I'm going to put them out there, Basket and Phelps. And they were talking about, what happens if one of these quarterbacks that we're talking about falls to 26? Jeff Phelps says, well, you have to take him. He didn't say trade out of the fucking spot because there should be people beating your door down. Old dusty-ass fucking Jeff Phelps says, well, you got to take him. You got to keep taking the quarterback. Look what it did for, Green Bay when they took Aaron Rodgers. Brett Favre was 127 years old when they fucking drafted Aaron Rodgers and then made him sit 3 more years. No, don't fucking, if you take a first round fucking quarterback, I'll lose my goddamn mind. I'll be doing this fucking podcast from a fucking jail cell. It doesn't, no, just, I can't even believe he said it. He's been around long enough. He's smart enough to know. You don't fucking, you trade out of that spot, you move back a couple spots. Even if you move out of the first round in that instance, you're going to get a massive fucking haul because you know they're trading up for the quarterback.
Yep.
And quarterbacks require higher premium than everything else. But Jesus Christ, Brown fans, don't be Jeff Phelps. Please don't be Jeff Phelps. Go Browns.
Go Browns, baby.